maybe we're back again. We'll see how things treat us this time.
Yeah, hopefully it's better. Is this, do they say it's a new stream? Yes.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
new stream, so it's not trying to reconnect. There's some bullshit. At least not right now.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it seems like we're back.
So it's
If it,
possible that there was just that. Wow, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, we're back. I guess we could get into chatting about stuff. I
I have
know
nothing
Eric,
to
you've
say.
re-
Apparently, Fool of Hell and Primitive Man just released a collaborative album.
oh really?
Yeah. Huh. Or it's soon to be released.
It's hard to hear
We'll
you,
see.
Greg.
Or it's soon, the collaborative album soon to be released. Maybe they just have a single now. It's hard to tell perspective here, but can you like just angle the microphone more towards you or something? Is that better?
Yeah,
Maybe. I think so.
yeah. Well,
I
so
think
a
so.
collaborative is gonna be on Bandcamp.
I would almost certainly. Yeah.
Hey, Bill. Things might be okay now.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. Eric, so you've been painting some terrain, like rusted terrain and stuff. Um,
Yeah, I have been. I
so do you think? So I'm looking at this one here, the one picture here now. It looks really nice. Do you think you will ever go back in and like there are at least a few like little there like cabling and stuff that
yeah.
maybe could be a different color?
I mean, I could potentially do that, but
I don't
they
know if it's
uh
worth going
yeah,
into right
in a
now.
few cases I did go and paint some cabling black.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know. I feel some of it you could probably argue is still is
Yeah. I was mainly thinking
just
like on
metal cable.
some of the piping, like the core cables are quite small, and like you
Yeah.
could maybe imagine they'd be some other something or other. Though even if it was a different color, it would probably just be like black or something. So
Yeah, so maybe I'll go back and do some of that. I don't know. Though it is one of those things that I feel I could it would be easy for me to just keep spending more time on stuff
hmm
and
yeah, I honestly don't think it would probably be. I was just considering it, but it probably wouldn't be worth it because it's not really going to add anything to it,
Mhm.
or at least not a lot.
yeah, I used a method that Anna from Gardens of Akate, she recently had a painting tutorial, and I
Hmm
essentially did that. I used some slightly different like paints, like where all of them were different, but
Yeah.
it mainly used was using a sponge with this Pro Acryl Dark Umber to get a rusk sort of oxidized look,
hmm
and then mixed some black with that to do a lighter sponge thing with it, then made a wash out of this Game Effects Rust color, and then used a bunch of enamel washes and stuff to do some things. So it was pretty easy. I I think they look okay. Like I didn't, as is kind of obvious, I didn't go in and really paint details in any way. Um, and since I used the enamels for some like streaking rust and stuff, but I didn't use any of them or any oils to do like washes in that way.
hmm
And they would probably be a little bit better, like because I've started to I I have some Zone Mortalis tiles,
Yeah.
that I had painted a while back and not very well. They were basically just silver with some slight enamel effects.
Did we
Looked
ever even
okay.
use them, like play anything on them?
I doubt it. I don't think so.
Yeah, God,
But
what a
I
fail.
decided to go back to one of them and kind of do the same effect with like as the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what I think about it. It might be too like dominating. Like I'm not sure. Twitch is twitching out. Do you think it's still twitching? It looks like it's running okay. I don't know.
It
But
still could be. It's not giving me any warnings yet, but I mean it's bound to happen soon.
regardless, so I did kind of the same effect with a sponge and whatnot. And I sort of wonder if now the ground is just so dark that I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's like too intense or too heavy. Um, but in the process of doing it, I looked at a lot of the stuff that I had done before, like it was silver, maybe a couple silvers airbrushed on, but there are
I think I
lots of
brought
like
up a
little,
picture of it.
there are lots of indents and such, like little grills and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that before they were just silver, like there was no, I'm gonna say, wash in there to add
Mm-hmm.
definition, just because it's awful to do that.
Yeah,
Like with
man.
acrylic washes and stuff, like you put them in there, but then you have to kind of try to push it around and
Mm-hmm.
dilute it with water. So like I just didn't do much of it. But I've been after doing this sponge stuff, I've been experimenting with just some like Abteilung oil paints and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
making some washes, and they are so much better to
Mm-hmm.
put it in. Like capillary action sucks it into places, and then with like little makeup um
Mm-hmm.
brushes or sponge things, I can kind of rub off areas. And so regardless of what it's looking like, it is better now in that most of the indents and crevices and things now are like black or dark brown, and so that looks better. um
Yeah.
but I don't know, what do people think? Do you think this looks okay? Like I wonder if it's just too much.
So I feel it would probably look better if you like dialed it back by like 50 to like 75% or something. But I mean, I don't necessarily think it looks bad. And I've
One of the
certainly.
things that I have done, like I didn't use, like I didn't put this acrylic rust wash on it, and I wonder if that would help because I think
Mhm.
it for the other terrain pieces, when I put that on, it kind of like mellows it out a bit,
Yeah.
unifies it a little bit, and doesn't make it as stark. And I wonder if there's a chance that would help.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
I think it's certainly usable and workable.
I almost wonder if now I might consider going back to the other three that I had painted
Mhm.
before doing this and just trying to put on some oil washes and such. I almost think that would just make them better.
I feel for me it would help if like you had a picture of some of those tiles with some other terrain and maybe a model there to get a sense of, because the picture that you're showing now, it makes it look a little busy with all of that dark rust stuff.
Hmm.
Also, yeah. Well, another question for you.
I just sent. It's probably gonna be a pain in the ass to bring this up, but in our one chat, I sent a picture.
Also, I have a
That
question. How much texture and stuff are you imparting on on all of this?
I don't think it's a ton. It's probably a little though.
I mean, the only reason I'm asking this is because depending on how it is, like honestly, it might not be that bad to even go in and just paint over some of the areas to like lessen
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I could do that. Be kind of a pain, and then I have to go back and do the washes and stuff. But I guess it is what it
No,
is.
like I mean, I feel I'd be more tempted to I would be more tempted to just try on one of the other tiles you already have and like if you potentially find something that like works better, you could then like
My
try and
initial thought was, like I said, I think these washes work. Just doing oil washes works quite well to add a little bit of color and definition to it. And then I think with them more just being silver, I think it would work better with a variety of different things, if that makes sense.
yeah.
But I took a picture. Did I send it? Maybe I didn't.
You sent one to
I finally got
Chris,
it up.
Mr. Pink.
Oh, I
I mean,
whatever.
honestly, this doesn't look bad to me. And even like with the other
Yeah, I
terrain and
think that
stuff on
looks
it,
pretty
like
good.
I think it looks pretty good. And I don't necessarily feel it's too dark in that it distracts or anything. But I feel it's the type of thing like I know I've certainly seen a lot of like Death Guard models and stuff that are painted that are essentially just rust and like it just looks weird. For stuff like this and the terrain, I don't I don't feel I really get that a sense of that. Like I don't think it
I still think for this, I'm going to try to put on the make. I mean, it'll be a pain in the ass because it's an acrylic, but I might try to just do the acrylic wash that I've done with the others because it really, if you look at the other terrain pieces, like there's still silver in there, but it has kind of like a warmness to it, and that's because it was like a really thin, a, this really thin acrylic rust wash that just
mhm.
brightens everything and kind of unifies it together and dulls down the
Yeah.
darkness and stuff. And I think that might help. So,
Also, looking at least this picture here, at least that one piece of pipe or whatever that's laying on the ground, to
yeah.
me, that looks like there would be areas that would benefit if there was like a black oil wash done on it.
Yeah, yeah, I did a little of that actually just recently.
Okay. Because a lot of that stuff, so if you can like pick out, or not really pick out, but
Define the edges better,
define
it
the
helps.
edges and all that other stuff, it just looks better. Because I quite like a lot of like the colors, like particularly the one I don't even know what it is. The thing in the right corner, it kind of has a yellow tone to it, and I
Yeah.
think that looks cool. Like they're not all necessarily the same, and I think that's nice.
Yeah. And that yellow tone, a lot of it is due to that wash. And
Hmm.
every time I've made it, it's slightly different. And depending on how much, after you put it on, how much you kind of suck off or sponge off or whatever with like an extra brush or something, it kind of affects what it looks like.
That's true. Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I think I might, for the one pipe thing, I think I should do an oil wash on some of it because they're it's just easier to make them
hmm
to define the detail, particularly the particularly on terrain. It's just so large, and
yeah.
but I don't really like painting terrain that much. Like I feel I struggle to, because like even this, when it was largely just some sponging and this and that, like still kind of took a while. I mean, not that long, but it still has ended up taking longer than people might want to. I don't know. And
Yeah,
a lot of it, I think, has to do with fucking acrylic washes. They suck.
I hate
They
acrylic washes. I
they
hate
suck
washes.
working with, like really bad, really bad.
Well, I think regardless, the stuff looks good.
Yeah,
Like,
it's good. I might, as we said, take one of the other tiles that was partially painted, just do some washes, oil washes to define some of the stuff, and I think that will probably look better, and maybe that will be, at least for the moment, be the standard that I will use,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I feel I have all the Zone Mortalis or a bunch of the wall sections and things, and I don't think I want to paint them in this sponge rust way. I don't think that
yeah,
would look that good. Like I think it's fine for this other Sector Mechanicus stuff, because honestly, I kind of more envision this stuff being outside somewhere,
yeah,
not necessarily on these Zone Mortalis tiles.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I don't, they look good. I think hopefully we'll eventually be able to take some more pictures with some of our models in and amongst the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess I've been working on painting the one Genestealer cultist model. Sort of slowly working on that. And I think it's going pretty well. I guess one of the things that I feel has like slowed my progress with the model is I don't really have a good sense of what colors I should paint certain things. Like they have these weird like rubberized like armored torsos and stuff, and then some like armor. It's like a more of an armored shoulder like
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and I at least relatively quickly started painting like some of the stuff on the model's legs, like their boots and leathers and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
so I just recently started putting down some reds and stuff on like the upper armor of the model, and I think it looks pretty good. I still have to. I feel probably have a long way to go with it, but um, I think it's coming along. And like I
Yeah.
painted the model's base and attached them to the base, so that's good.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I think the model looks good, but yeah, I can kind of. They have a lot of just. The Genestealer cultists have a lot of just stuff.
weird random shit. Like a lot of them have like just tubes and shit in their legs, and it's like, what the fuck is that? Like, and thinking about it
Tell
now,
us, Darren Latham. Tell us.
yeah, thinking about it now, I feel like I cut enough shit off the model to begin with. I should have just cut off those like IV tubes or whatever. It's like, what the fuck is that shit? And
Yeah.
um, right now, like I've literally just painted them, which you can only vaguely see one in this picture, but I just painted them like they are literally like IV things and they're filled with blood.
I think that's kind of cool and an interesting effect and different. What do
Yeah,
you call it? Almost like a different texture. It's more glossy, as opposed to a lot of the other things on it are matte.
yeah. But I don't know. So they're coming along, and I feel I'll be happy once I get to a point where I can just glue glue the other arm on the model, and it'll be like a fully complete model, even if it's not quite, we haven't quite painted everything. It'll be nice to finally just have the thing assembled. I'm happy they're finally glued to their base.
Do you have the base that like blue tacked to another base?
I do.
That's kind of seems like maybe a good idea.
Because, like, I don't know if any, you know as well as I do, Eric, if you use the GW paint like model holder, it just chews the paint off the bases, and
kind of hate it.
yeah, and will end up resulting in a base where it's like you can clearly tell where paint was
Shipped because you can't.
chipped or like put, and it just fucking ruins it. So
Yeah, it's terrible.
so yeah, here I just blue tacked this base to another base. And
Yeah, I
it's
feel
working
that's
pretty
like-
well.
I tend to just blue tack the corks.
Well, so
because-
that's what I've taken to doing now. But I do like these handles, like the larger little thing you're holding to. I feel it's easier for me to hold, particularly if I'm trying to do detailed stuff.
Yeah,
It
I'll
helps.
have to
Like
try that.
like for a while I was painting the model just hold on a pin vise, because I used the pin vise to hold one of the pins in the model's feet, and that is just not, it's too thin, and it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the model's slowly coming along.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see that model painted. Like, I feel it's been one that was, converted a fair amount of time ago. So,
Yeah, it was a while ago. Oh, Bill's asking what the creative process is when we make like a model for the Church of the Red Athenium. So that I feel has kind of varied a lot over the years that I've been making models. A lot of the newer ones, yeah, a lot of the newer ones for like this Zone Secundus, Necromunda stuff. A lot of those models, a lot of the creative process sort of started with finding what I deemed to be a pretty good base model where their pose was pretty good, the proportions were pretty good, and then with that base model there, then just kind of figuring out what could be removed or modified, and then trying to add some additional theme or something to it. I wonder, can we find, I don't think we can easily find. Guess I'll look on Instagram. Because like for a lot of the models, particularly now, a lot of the GW models, you often have to do a whole lot to make them look, or it's rare they have a model where the posing is actually just good to begin with.
yeah.
In some sense. But let's, so like the little halfling-esque model, so that was a model, like I looked at the model, like that's a cool model. Since they already had like their cheeks and stuff sort of cut, I thought that was an interesting thing, and I thought I could do more with that. And then it was just, alright, cut off all the extra stuff on the model, make the feet smaller, and then sort of deciding what type of like mutilation and stuff I should add to the model. In this case, I thought it would be interesting to add all the scarring and stuff like that. For the larger like guy with a heavy stubber, some of that was just like seeing the model, like it's a cool model. The base model was cool, and then going in and sort of figuring out things that I think would look better if they were smaller or removed. And then in this case, part of the idea was just we had never actually made a model with a little like Browning automatic rifle inspired gun that we had converted like years and years ago and never done anything with it. So I thought this model sort of had the right stature to like actually hold such a weapon and not look too out of character or out of place.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, at least more recently, has just been finding models that I think are interesting and look pretty neat, and then doing more to it or making changes to it to hopefully kind of completely change the look and feel of the miniature itself. Because we've gotten, for a lot of these models, we would get so many comments about like where the model came from, etc. And it's like if you look at it and you're familiar with the model range, it's pretty obvious. But if you would compare this one with like the official model, they look pretty different. And
They do.
but like earlier on with a lot of the original models, some of that was just I always sort of had the notion like, oh, I should try and take some of the older metal GW models and what can I do to make them fit with some of the more modern sculpts. And on top of that, like a lot of the original members for like that Pilgrim War band, like so many of them were just taking a base model and replacing their legs and boots and stuff with those of
Yeah.
either like the Elysian drop troops or like some of the Deathcore Simon Egan sculpts, just because particularly at the time those were probably the best looking boots and the smallest boots available. So since they were the best that were available, that's what I used, and you just go in and cut the feet off the models and replace them.
How satisfied are you with most of the Red Church models now? Like looking back, being that they're quite, from quite a while ago.
I think I'm pretty happy with pretty much all of them, honestly. I think, if anything, some of them, I think maybe the paint jobs could be a little better. Like, that's the main thing sometimes I look back and think about and
Wow.
maybe am not as pleased with, but like they're not painted badly or anything.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the more you paint, the better. The more you try things and all that.
Some of the models that I've made, I kind of have a story in mind with, but I feel most of them not so much, other than like a very loose story, like like the larger one with the heavy stubber, they're like a heavy weapon specialist or like a gunslinger, or like the one little dude here with the noose around his neck and everything like that. Some of those models, and particularly a bunch of the initial models for the Red Church, they actually did have stories and stuff behind them and background. So there was a fair amount of that going around when we initially made the warband, and but the more recent ones for Zone Secundus, there wasn't as much of that. And part of that was due to the fact that I was trying to make Necromunda-esque models that would hopefully be able to sort of fit in a lot of different settings. And like if we ever end up going to a new Ink 28 event, like I feel a lot of them could relatively easily slot into any of that. But yeah, if you look at a lot of these older models, so like I think these are the like robe legs of one of the old Empire flagellant models, and then their feet were cut off, replaced with the boots from one of the drop troops, and then they have a body from a deathcore model, the arms as well. And then for a lot of them I took like the Elysian drop troop weaponry, and then like a lot of them are pretty good, but they're still too big, I think, so I took them
That
and
shotgun, my
just
God.
made them smaller. So yeah, the shotgun for the drop troops, they're pretty cool, but it just way too big.
Dave Taylor commented there. That's something.
Yeah, that is wild.
And so like this warband, I think was one of the first. A model or two before this, I experimented with slightly smaller weapons and stuff. But this was one of the first things where I really tried to do more with that. And that was kind of a lot of the focus on some of the earlier stuff. Like I certainly remember with our little like executioner one here, like we were sending emails and stuff back and forth between the other people involved in the event, and we got a lot of, or maybe not a lot, but a few comments with people saying that the gun was just too small. And me looking at it now, I would argue that it's too big.
Actually, for this Kirill here, I think I actually wrote like a little short story with him in it,
Mm-hmm.
which is fun. Like, be cool to do more of that at some point. I don't know.
Well, I sort of
Like,
feel like the next time we go, or we actually either have our own Ink 28 event or go to another one, we'll probably do more of that. So
yeah,
I think
it helps. It helps having like a sort of an impetus to do something, but yeah, we need to try to do something ourselves. It's hard to keep, I don't know, it's hard to push it along. Like it's easy to talk about, but to actually get around to doing it, which towards that end, I really respect, Bill, that you actually did something with that. Like actually hosted an event and such. I feel it's something that we've sort of passively thought about for so long, but then just don't do shit.
I was trying to look out. So here some of the stuff is like I think the first, what I believe was the first like, weapon that I made, that I converted and like made a smaller one. Holy shit, is it not even on Instagram? Maybe it's not. Was, oh, here he is. This little like guardsman where, oh my god, almost like fucking joke. Like look at that. Like I cut down, I guess it was an auto pistol, and I cut it down a bunch, and like you can tell that there's a slide in front and rear sights and stuff.
Terrible that was an auto pistol. Like it's still gigantic,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's
it's fucking
smaller.
huge. So
At least you don't have that model anymore.
I mean, yeah, And also, and even here, like I replaced the legs with the legs and boots of one of the drop troops because they were the best.
Oh yeah, I saw someone ask about on maybe it was Instagram or someone about if they could host Mordheim 2023 and got your blessing. So that's cool. That's exciting.
That is exciting.
But I feel I don't know. We've been at blogging and stuff for a while, gone to a bunch of events. I guess not that many, but it I feel it's about time we do something. Finally.
No, that would be good.
I really like the Arbites that you made for the Curse of the Alabaster thing. Like they're really cool.
Yeah, they're cool. The big thing about them, like I wish the scale creep wasn't as real as it is because
Because they're like small in relationship to.
they're so small and like yeah, I really like them. They're cool. Like these, like I spent a lot of time. Like they all have like little tiny like blocks and stuff, holstered Glocks. Like most of them have them.
Yeah, they're super cool.
Like the leader has like a revolver taken from Infinity, and then they have a little holster underneath there. A little like shoulder holster type thing. Like
Yes,
they're
see,
cool.
if we do an event like a Necromunda base type thing, like could use these. Like I feel we have a bunch of models that we could at least partially repurpose. Then all the terrain, like how did you make all that terrain, Bill? God. I I don't know, as this stream has started out, like I struggled just to paint the shitty GW terrain. Ugh, tough.
It is tough. But we having you on for like another episode talking about like holding events and all that stuff. Like I think we've had stuff like that in the past, but I think having another episode like that could be good and
Mhm.
just getting different perspectives and such.
Yeah.
Okay, so like years later I finally painted that initial like guardsman with the fucking huge auto pistol. And I remember I that model was very early on in my converting career and such, and like I sculpted like I resculpted the fingers of the one hand holding the shotgun, and I thought I did a pretty good job, but just how they were holding the shotgun, like they couldn't really actually hold it. So
Yeah.
I went back in and added like a sling to help them actually hold the fucking shotgun, which was too big.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very early in the.
It's good to go back and repaint stuff to like just finish things. God, there you can see some of my first like honestly first models I painted, some Raptor Space Marines, they look pretty bad. Whew. But I guess
I mean, honestly, they're fine.
I had never
Like
painted
maybe
a
they're
model
not
before.
like incredible or anything, but like if you had a
That's
whole
good
little
tabletop quality.
yeah, if you had a whole little army of them, like
Well, the
they'd
weird
look
thing is, like,
nice.
I feel them, like, certainly they were quicker to paint than the Dark Angels I've done, but I think if I did more of the Dark Angels and really got uh streamlined elements of it, like, they could look so much better than these and not really take that a huge difference in like the amount of time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, So, and I think that's something that, like, Richard Gray has a bunch of YouTube videos of like painting stuff semi quickly. And
Hmm.
it's amazing how just like if you're a very good painter, how good you can make stuff even if you are doing it very quickly.
I mean, that's very true, yeah.
But yeah, well.
Yes, I don't know. I feel one of the things, yeah, that I'd like to do more this year is just try and finish painting some of the stuff that I already have converted but never painted. Hey, what's this little pistol? Who even was holding this pistol I have here? I don't even fucking remember. Oh, I guess I just converted this for and cast this, so like
Yeah, I think that's it.
I don't even know if I ever painted a model with it. You did, Eric, I think, but yeah, like the little front
Yeah,
and
for
rear
the
sides, there's like the little
Iron Fleet
slot.
event I did.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah, like I carved in the little ejection port. That's cool. And there's compare. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel. Yeah, like a lot of this stuff that I made for the Thorn Moon stuff that we never really got to do anything with.
Yeah.
It's a shame I didn't really do that much with. I guess I've slowly started doing some more stuff with it. I painted 2 Imperial Guard. Well, no, I guess I did this one with a shotgun. The one event. Yeah, so I've done a little bit, but I still have to paint the Happening Haber. Look how big the Haber is. So big.
Yeah, it is a big model, but it would be cool to paint. Like, mm, yeah, it should be cool to paint.
Yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, I guess that's one of the reasons I'm working on painting this Genestealer cultist.
Yeah, just finish some of that stuff.
Yeah, they've been sitting around for too long.
Yeah, and that Eldar pirate who
Oof. Yeah, that's something that I need to
that's
do.
been a while.
Yeah, this Genestealer cultist, they'll be cool when they're done.
Yeah, it's true. This is un not really related to that specifically, but looks like this Saturday the a bunch of the Cadian models go up for pre-order like as individual boxes.
Oh, really? Oof.
Yeah, so
That's
like
good.
just the Cadians as themselves. The Kashyyykin are not yet, but it
Oh, they're
makes
the
me
ones people
wonder.
want.
It would be interesting to see if the new plastic Cadians, like, because not that long ago they released just an upgrade thing that had a bunch of additional heads for the old Cadian models.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if those are bigger and like if they would look better on the new models.
Yeah, so I
We
don't.
have a box of them, I think.
Yeah, we do, and that would be interesting to see. Like, I feel these new plastic Cadians, there are aspects of them that are pretty nice, but their heads are just way too small. For at least most of them. Also can't help but we talked about this at length too, but I can't help but feel a lot of their like baggy pants and all that stuff, just the folds and the cloth are like really
Not that well
poorly
done.
defined. And a lot of the
Yeah.
hands look awful too.
Yeah, like the one that's kind of running forward, just holding a rifle with his
Yeah, I wonder if
hand
that's
up to
not.
his head. Like
Is that even
it almost.
real? Or is it just a. Yeah, I don't know. I feel I
Well,
would
those
like to.
rifles are so big.
I would like to see some of them in person, and I think maybe some of the stuff would look a little nicer, but I don't really
The
like.
command squad. If you look at the command squad, the commander model, their head doesn't maybe seem super tiny. Although I guess I didn't look that closely, but
That's better. It's still too small, though,
y-
I think. Like, for the most part.
I mean, some people have kind of small
I
heads.
mean, some people do, but
It can vary, but I feel by and large all these models have tiny heads.
I mean, the funny thing is the command squad here, they're all in pretty relaxed, no, except for the commander, normal poses, which I feel like I should be praising them for, but they still manage to make them look,
Kinda not great,
yeah,
but just okay.
just okay. Like, if you
Yeah,
compare these to all the ones Simon Egan sculpted, all the Death
hmm
Corps and the Elysian Drop
they look a
Troops,
lot worse.
like, these are
There's
a
the one,
joke.
the medic character there, like how he's holding the stock of that rifle. That's another example of like that hand looks bad.
Well, see, the thing is, Simon Egan back then, when he was sculpting those
Wasn't
guard,
even great
the
sculpting hands.
worst thing about them are their hands. They don't look that good, but they look a lot better than the hands we're seeing here. So, like, literally everything about these pale in comparison to the old guard that Simon Egan did for Forge World. It's like,
Yeah,
it's such a shame.
it is a shame.
There's an Astra Militarum art print bundle.
Pretty cool.
Sick.
Yeah.
It's sick and also sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. This Cadian Blood Warhammer 40,000 novel. Like, oh god.
It's a good illustration of how cool the
The
shotguns are.
artwork is so awful. And I feel
Hey,
it's a good representation of the new Cadian models.
hey, the hands look similar.
They do. I think this is a very good representation of the Cadian models.
Cadia's Blute. That looks dumb.
We'll see.
I mean,
Okay.
admittedly, this is a German translation, so
Well, so here they're talking about Warhammer Plus. Like, I obviously don't watch any Warhammer Plus, but here they're showing a masterclass of painting one of these Cadians. So if you look at this Cadian here, you cannot. I don't think anyone could reasonably tell me that that head is not too small.
so small, and
Like,
the
holy
chain
shit.
sword is so big. Like Jesus Christ.
Like, that head is about half the size that it should be. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but not that much. Like, how did they let that
Yeah.
happen? Who looked at
I
that
don't.
and said, that's right?
Well, yeah, they're just a fail.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure, but we can hope that at least if they when they sell the Cadians, hopefully they're in boxes of 10 and not more.
I think the Kasarkin models, or like the Stormtroopers, I think they look a little bit better than these. their heads I think are also too small. But since they have like the balaclavas and rebreathers and stuff, it's easier to accept
Yeah.
it. Because you can't just immediately see like, oh shit, there's their like, oh. Also, one question, I haven't really been paying attention to GW, like the content they're putting out. Do they still have like they still have their YouTube channel, right? Do they still put out painting videos and stuff there, or has it all largely just Warhammer Plus?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Because I remember a while ago, I used to periodically watch some of the YouTube painting videos that were done, and I mean, I didn't learn
They
anything
might.
from them,
I
but
think possibly they do, but I don't think they show faces anymore because they feel like they got burned when Duncan left.
oh,
But I know the master class they show the person at least a little bit. But it sounds like, and there's actually a podcast and YouTube channel called The Painting Phase that have Peachy, like the GW army painter guy who is on a lot of the uh, Warhammer Twitch stuff and whatever. He recently left, and he's now a part of this podcast and YouTube channel, along with another guy who worked with GW over kind of the COVID time with video kind of stuff. And they're doing stuff together, and they have a podcast that they talk about a bunch of stuff. But it's interesting to hear them talk about Warhammer Plus and how it was kind of rushed, and how it
well, I mean, you
almost
can
sounds as though
tell.
the different hands didn't know what the other was doing, and just not that well planned out.
Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me at all. No, but I listened to
Yeah.
one of the more recent episodes, and it was very interesting to kind of hear some different perspectives on some of the stuff that was going on. But yeah, these Cadians, they have problems.
Real disappointment.
Is it at the
Almost.
end of this month the GW stores are potentially giving out a free
Yeah.
plastic Cadian?
Yeah.
I don't think I will be able to get one of them.
I think it's at the end of the month.
Yeah, well, 'cause I don't really
I
want
guess
to
they've
buy
been
a squad of them.
Yeah, that's fair. There's just too many. Too many models don't want that shit.
No.
But it would be nice to at least get one somehow. To just sort of see what it looks like in comparison to stuff. Just like their sculptors are just, it's like, I feel we've talked about it a lot, but I feel they just don't have oversight.
Mm-hmm.
No one is there to tell them. And I mean, they must to some extent, but somehow this sort of shit sneaks through like
It's
all
like
the
a
time.
whole they revamped an entire army that's needed to be revamped for like 20 years, and then they bumble it like so hard.
But they do it for every army. Like the looks like the World Eaters basically all garbage. This kind of all garbage.
Well, but the World Eaters, like, they were just being based off the older redesign, so like there was nothing that could be done. But
I guess.
like here there was, and they even tried to take steps to improve anatomy and other stuff like that, change the scaling, and they botched it.
Yeah. If their heads weren't so small, I would be much more forgiving.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, well, we talked about them enough. They're a huge disappointment.
Yeah. Sadly.
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't play Warhammer 40,000.
I mean, I about like a few months ago, a year ago, I played some games, and I think it largely just kind of confirmed that notion that I am glad I don't play it.
Yeah.
It's not for me. Oh, are people excited to spend $144 to get the new Horus model from Forge World?
Just so bad. Like how the model looks okay. Like I don't think it adds much
It's certainly
compared to
not
the
better than the first Horus
like
model.
it maybe seems more action oriented or something,
I mean,
and
it's
some
good that
aspects look kind of cool, but I feel it doesn't look like there's a person in there in that armor. Like the head's even is smaller. Like it
Chaos
it
fucked them up.
yeah, I
That's
guess
the
that's fair.
description. They
I
ruined
guess
them.
that's fair. I mean, it seems like generally well sculpted, but
Yeah, I mean, it looks
um,
good.
the face looks good. Um, but my God, it's $144 for a shitty resin model. Like even if it's a good cast, it's still shitty resin.
It's
Like,
not gonna be a good cast, though.
but yeah, it like can't be. Resin can't be. It never is. And
World Breaker's too big.
yeah, and you just know the few people that'll have this model, the talons will be broken off, and
Hmm.
Thanks for joining, Bill. You have a good evening.
yeah,
Yeah,
see
no,
ya.
thanks for joining.
It's like I kind of feel like they seem to have sent the model to a bunch of content creators, and it's just like, yeah, if you didn't do that, who would buy it?
I mean, I
Some
think
people would buy it, but they
people
wouldn't
will.
paint it.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just so. But and even $144 is really expensive. But I feel if it was plastic, I would be so much more willing to buy it.
Yeah, I agree. I also sort of wish they had given you the option to give like a Terminator helmet.
Yeah,
Like,
that would be neat.
that would have been great.
Head is so small.
It really is.
I mean, I guess that's GW. It's what they crave now from their models.
They're becoming more and more like Malifaux every day.
Yeah.
It's sad. No one wants to see it. That's probably not true, but I don't.
I don't know. I feel the majority of Games Workshop fans love it. Like they love the not great looking Cadians. They love all Games Workshop models.
Well,
But
I
I
sort
guess
of
it's
feel like a lot of people, like, they're seeing these new ones and they're very different from the old plastic ones. And they're like, oh, yeah, those old plastic ones, they were really squatty or their heads were really big. Like, yeah, these are different. These are better. They fixed them when they didn't actually. They did change them, but
yeah,
they didn't.
they're just
Yeah, they didn't
fixed.
really fix the issues.
They're just different now.
They're just different. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So,
just different.
yeah. Well, so how's everybody feeling? I feel we could probably wrap the stream up soon. Like, I think
I think so.
we talked about
Yeah.
what we wanted to. There's
Yeah.
not a whole lot. I feel maybe sometime soon I'll have to try and whenever they release the Kasarkin, those plastics, like a box of them, I'll probably get some of those and maybe we can have a closer examination of them and maybe reassess my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
that would be good.
But yeah, so I guess thanks everybody for joining us tonight, and bearing with maybe some of the initial issues with the stream and crashing and whatnot. But well, yeah, thanks for being here. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep enjoying the hobby, whatever aspect of it is that you enjoy. And we will talk to you again soon. Till next time, over and out.
See everybody.
See ya.